And our opinions to its soundness may, of course, mean little. But as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. It explains to me why I would go down by the bar and have a couple of drinks and intend to go home. But I have a couple of drinks, maybe I'm going to mow the grass. I'm going to have 2 drinks to go home, mow the grass. That's my plan. I have a couple of drinks, and I said, this physical craving beyond my mental control sets up the desire to have another one. Then I have another one, and I said, I've got to go home and mow that grass. And after about 4 or 5 drinks, I said, I've got to hell with that grass. I'm going to stay here and drink. And the next thing I know, it's midnight or 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock or the next morning or the next day or the next week. And I still haven't gotten home. And I come home, my wife said, where you been? I don't know. I knew a lot of it, but I wasn't going to tell her where I'd been, you know. But I have no way to explain that. But today I know that once I start to drink, it's virtually impossible for me to stop. On my own willpower, I can't do it because of the allergy of the body sets up a craving beyond my mental control. This idea about what he just talked about and Charlie explained explained many things to me that I couldn't otherwise account for. At least I have an explanation for it today. You see, most people don't have that allergy to alcohol. I used to be in the bar, and a lot of those guys and gals would go home about 6:30 or 7, and I thought they were henpecked or other things. And I said, well, you know, but they didn't want anyone to drink. They went home. I couldn't go home. I couldn't go home. I just couldn't do it. They could. But I had an allergy to alcohol. They didn't. That's the difference between me and them.
Now, a good textbook never tells you anything but what it doesn't build on it to drive the point home. Let's go over to Roman numeral 26, 3rd edition, 28, 4th edition, first paragraph. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, now this is the doctor talking, Dr. Silkwork, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all, and once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things human, the problems pile upon them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. So here he's talking about the manifestation of our allergy is the phenomenon of craving. He used the word phenomenon because he didn't understand it, but he knew that it happened. Now, the word craving in the first 164 pages of the big book always deals with the body, never with the mind. I hear people say, well, I came to AA and I craved a drink for 3 years. No, in the context of the big book, that's the wrong use of that word. They needed a drink, they desired a drink, they wanted a drink. But the only way we alcoholics can crave alcohol is to first put it in our body. Then the allergy takes over. The phenomenon of craving develops, and it's an actual physical craving they didn't understand it, and it takes over, and then we can't stop drinking, and we end up drunk every time we try. So the manifestation of our allergy is referred to here as the phenomenon of craving. You can't see it, you can only feel it. Now over on Roman numeral 28, 30 in the 4th edition, he's going to drive this idea home one more time about the physical allergy, the phenomenon of craving, and he's going to talk about 5 different kinds of drinkers. Let's look at them very briefly.
He said the classification of alcoholics seems most difficult, and in much detail is outside the scope of this book. He said there are, of course, the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. We're all familiar with this type. They're always going on the wagons for keeps. They are over-remorseful and make many resolutions but never a decision.
We call that type 1.
There is a type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. He plans various ways of